Okay guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space and welcome to my channel. So if you didn't know, these right here are super dogs and these are quad dogs. They work in a very similar fashion. These are offered by, you can get these on TSO's site. They're made by UGK. And these right here, the super dogs or the quad dogs are made by benchdogs.co.uk. Now if you take a closer look at them, you see there's these two orange rings here, which are similar to the two black rings on this particular device here. Now, I just want to make a short video showing how these work if you're not familiar with them. I was a novice to these at one point in time, but I now understand them and have used them before in the shop. I don't use them that often, but I think it'll be helpful to people to know how they function and what they do. So oftentimes if you use a regular dog, such as this or this, you can put it in your in the hole, and you see you have a degree of wobbliness, right? That even goes with the shorter ones. It's less so because it's a shorter, but you can see how much movement you have here. Now, there are threaded holes at the bottom of both of these dogs so that you could use a thumb screw such as this and tighten it from underneath so that you do not have that kind of movement and or play. The super dogs and the quad dogs alleviate the need for a threaded knob to go in the bottom. And the way that the super dog functions is right here at the top. This is made up of multiple components. So I can unscrew this here and take this all the way out, this shaft, and it's made up of different elements. As you can see, there's a bottom, a threaded hole in the bottom. You've got a rubber grommet. That orange is like a rubber grommet. And then you've got a collar and another orange rubber grommet. Then we'll put this on top, and then we screw this all together. Now, the benefit to this setup here is you can actually make these dogs taller or shorter if you have the proper components. Now, the way that it functions is when I put it down in the table like this, as you can see, and this one has kind of like a chamfered edge right around here, around this portion, so it kind of sets in there. Once you drop it in, it doesn't fall through. Now, what I can do is when I turn this clockwise, I'm unable to pull the dog. Well, let's do that again. So let me unscrew it and put it in. When I turn this top knob, what it is doing, it is compressing the rubber grommets, which are expanding in the actual hole. And that makes it to where you can't pull the dog out, and you don't have nearly as much play or wobble. Now, by comparison, I've got this dog here, and you see how much play and wobble, and I'm barely touching that. When I barely touch this, I'm not getting that. But if I push hard, because it's a rubber grommet, you're still going to get some degree of deflection, but not nearly as sharp and easily as this. So when I tap that to the side, nothing's happening, but this one is wobbling all over the place, right? The quad dogs work in the same fashion, right? You can unscrew here, and you've got the big portion on the top, so theirs is more solid, and then you have this component, and you've got your two black grommets, and they do come with replacement rubber grommets for you to put on. And I'll put this down in the hole. Now, the thing you have to worry about with the super dog is, look, it'll go all the way through. It'll just drop all the way through. So you have to be mindful when you set it in there. You want to start twisting it so that it will lock in, and it'll get tight, right? If you just keep twisting it, it gets tighter. And you see the deflection and the play with that. So if I'm honest, when I'm comparing one with the other, being able to grab this and twist that whole thing is giving me a lot more leverage as opposed to this knob, right? So this one's not quite as secure, but it's still secure, still more secure than, say, you know, our wobbly option here. But by comparison, this one is a little bit more firm than this one, and that's only because, you know, my finger tightening is probably not as powerful as someone else's. So someone else that has a lot stronger grip could tighten this down really good and get it in there snug. But I can grab this, especially with these rubber gloves on, and actually really get in there and tighten that up so that it doesn't move. So I don't think that, I mean, this one's easier for me to tighten. Both of them are quick and easy to use. But if you're looking for an alternative where you don't have to go under your table to fasten these dogs down, so let me just show you. If I take, let's say, this knob off of here, and I'm going to screw it into the bottom of this one so you can see the effect. And actually this one is not a good example because, let me show you another thing that you have to take into consideration. It depends on how deep your table is. So if your table is too, if your tabletop is thin, so this is 3/4 of an inch, right? So what I would need is something that's a little bit shorter, maybe something like this. And let me see if those bases are the same. They're about the same. Let me try that again. Let me try this one. If I take this dog, they're about the same, so it should work. Let me just try that one more time. So this is not getting snug for some reason. Let's try this dog here and see if it gets snug. Yeah, that one's too long too. So I think that the threads have to be shorter because, okay, you can see right there where the screw hole's coming up. These threads need to be shorter because what it needs to do is it needs to pull tight to pull this to the base of the table. Now, I see just using this straight up, it doesn't work. But if I was to use, say, this triangle, which is giving me increased depth, and I take the same dog that I had initially, which is this one here, and I plug that in here, that's going to raise the whole device up. So then when I go to screw in the bottom, like this, it's actually pulling it snug to the table, and now you have no play. So the alternative method is you would have to have, I mean, this right here has a degree of thickness to it, so that's how I'm able to get the same stability that I'm getting with these quad dogs. So you see the benefit there, right? The quad dog or the super dog and the quad dog give me the ability on the top of the table to tighten things down so that you don't have movement. You can use those with your fences, you can use it with your triangles. Or you have to get a knob, which you do have to consider the depth of this actual screw here. If it comes up too far through the opening on the bottom, then you're not gonna get the registration that you're looking for. So FYI, when I was actually removing this quad dog, or super dog, yeah, the quad dog, it does unscrew at this portion as well. You can see here. So that breaks it up into multiple components, just like the super dog. It just happens to have a longer extension for this particular one. So you can get these in multiple sizes, so you can make them longer or shorter according to your needs. But you see the base is pretty much about the same on these dogs, and they're very similar too. If you look at just the grommet portion, they're very similar, but this one has an extension that goes down through the table, this being the super dog by comparison to the quad dog. You can get these super dogs in a taller length as well, or a shorter length. just as well as you can the quad dogs. Anyways, guys, thanks for taking time to watch the video, and I will see you in my next one. Take care.